This was premeditated. This was funds exchange. This was 2 months of planning, stalking, waiting for the right moment.
A Pennsylvania mother gunned down in front of her 11-year-old son, all because of her boyfriend's ill-fated affair.
I get a text. Your sister's been shot. You need to call me immediately. So I'm just like, where am I going? I make a U-turn in Miller Street and just race to Dunkin' Donuts.
On April 11th, 35-year-old Rachel King was shot and killed in a Dunkin Drive-Thru just outside of Philadelphia in Cheltenham. Her brother, Alan King, says the news came as an absolute shock.
My sister didn't do anything. She didn't go out. My sister had never seen the inside of a dance club. Like, she didn't do anything. Like, she was the most mother boring person in the best way possible. But her Saturday night was, oh, I'm baking cookies for Jalen. Like, literally, I'm baking cookies. That was her Saturday night. And it wasn't a chore, it was a choice. And she made that choice every day, happily.
For weeks, Alan says his family had little information about what happened to his sister. But on Wednesday, the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office announced charges against 34-year-old Julie Jean and 33-year-old Zaki Al-Hakim. In a press release, officials say Jean and Al-Hakim plotted the cold-blooded killing for months ahead of time, exchanging hundreds of texts discussing a plan. According to court documents, Rachel's longtime boyfriend, William Hayes, had an affair with Jean last year but broke it off. After that, Jean continued to text him and Rachel, prompting Hayes to get a protection order against her. On Wednesday, Al-Hakim was charged with first-degree murder, third-degree murder, conspiracy, and possessing an instrument of crime. Jean was charged with first-degree murder, third-degree murder, and conspiracy.
And the craziest thing is, it didn't need to happen. The woman who did this was also a mother. So the fact that you're a mother and you chose to take a mother's life is absolutely insane to me. At no point did you look at your child and say, what would my child's life be if I wasn't in their life?
The morning of Rachel's murder, investigators say Al-Hakim followed her when she left her apartment. At the time, she was on the way to take her son Jalen to a violin lesson. But first, Rachel pulled into the Dunkin Drive-Thru line. That's when officials say Al-Hakim walked up to her window, shot her multiple times, and drove off. After that, Rachel's brother Alan received an unforgettable message.
I was driving to a doctor's appointment, and my nephew called, my dad called, and I was like, oh, I'll call back. They'll be like, I'm driving right now, I was calling back. I get a text. Your sister's been shot. You need to call me immediately. So I'm just like, where am I going? I make a U-turn in Miller Street and just race to Dunkin' Donuts.
Alan says he knew moments after arriving on the scene that his sister had been killed.
I got there and I asked, I said, where's my sister? And as soon as they said, we don't know, I knew that she was gone. So my next question is, where's my nephew? Because I couldn't focus on losing my sister. I needed to find my nephew immediately. So they said, he's at the police station, get in my car. I just raced to this police station. I need to my nephew. I need to give my nephew a hug right now. That's all I cared about. Like, I need to give my nephew a hug right now. I don't care about anything else in this moment. Nothing else matters.
But breaking the devastating news to his nephew Jalen proved to be heartbreaking.
And I was first one there, so the detective told me she had passed before I got to see my nephew, and I couldn't tell him myself because I didn't have anybody else there. And I just found out, so I couldn't then tell him, and I just couldn't do it all at once. So I just hugged him and held him, and my sister showed up, and yeah, and then we didn't tell him police station. We didn't tell him till later at night. It was a lot.
In the days leading up to Rachel's murder, investigators say Al-Hakim was outside of her apartment watching her movements. Court documents show Jean deleted nearly 800 text messages between her and Al-Hakim on April 12th, just 13 minutes before she was interviewed by detectives. The last message between the pair was sent the day of the murder and was interpreted to mean, link up, message me, no phones, that's it. Investigators also determined the vehicle Al-Hakim drove the day of the murder was purchased by Jean just days prior. They say the connection between both suspects is through the father of Jean's 3 children, who is Al-Hakim's cousin. Rachel's brother Alan says he learned all this information the same day charges were filed against both suspects.
My sister knows me, and I've been my sister's little big brother my entire life. So yeah, she's 2.5 years older than me, but that was always my little sister. And I told her boyfriend when they started dating, I said, hey man, you were cool in college, everything was cool. You hurt my sister, that's gonna be an issue. Like, just made it very clear, like, you can walk away now, but like if you go down this path. And I didn't find out until yesterday about this affair, the threatening text that this person was sending, and I didn't know anything about it until yesterday.
Alan believes Rachel was caught in the middle of a complicated situation only by happenstance.
He happened to move in next door, and that's the reason she didn't have a boyfriend. That's how much time she didn't do anything. If he didn't move in next door, where they just happened to keep, seeing each other, they would have never met.
Instead, Alan says his sister was a dedicated single mother who did everything to support Jalen.
She was the loudest, brightest, smilingest person I knew. She has always had positive spin. That was always her. It was never, this is bad. It was always, I'm thankful for. If that makes sense. Which, she's a single mother, so there's a lot of moments of, what do I do with this? How do I handle this? How do I do that? And her attitude was always the same. Like, at least I have a roof over my head. At least I have this. At least I have that. Versus, this is terrible. I hate my life. So on and so forth.
Alan says his sister's relationship with her son was more than a mother-son dynamic, but that the pair were best friends.
They best friends. Like, they chose to hang out with each other. It wasn't, what am I doing this weekend? It's like, what are we doing this weekend? And there was a funness to that. It wasn't draining. It wasn't, oh, I wish I had time alone. I took Jalen out so she would have time because she didn't want to make time. Like, I would have him, hey, can you bring Jalen back? Like, where's my son? That kind of thing.
Jalen returned to school this week for the first time since his mother's death. Alan, who now has temporary emergency custody of his nephew, says the situation has been difficult for both of them.
Jalen's 11, so his memories of his mother, 5-6 years maybe, right? And so everybody says, how's he doing? And I think he's doing better than me. And it just dawned upon me that's because I had 30 years with my sister. Like, I had 30 really, really, really good years with my sister. So I'm hoping that, because he had 6 years, maybe it's a little easier on him.
Alan says he's always been a father figure to Jalen, supporting his sister Rachel as a single mother.
First semester this year, Jalen got all A's and 1B. I told him, yeah, I'm proud of you, man. Good job, I said that B though. And, not my thought process there is, if you got a B, you can get an A. Maybe a little more effort, right? But if you got a B, you get an A. If you had a C or a D, it's like, listen, man, everyone doesn't understand everything. It's okay. We'll move on. Next year will be here in no time. Let's get through it. Let's rock this C out and get you passed. And the second semester, 3 weeks before my sister was killed, he got straight A's. And I remember she called me and she said, your nephew did it. Your boy did it. He did it. And I was so happy. She was so happy because being a teacher mom is a different, like, best friend plus teacher mom. Oh man, it's like everything they did always had a lesson. So even though he looked at it as just living life and having fun, she was learning tactics that she learned and taught the entire time.
Before her murder, Rachel worked as a teacher at Grover Cleveland Elementary School on Philadelphia's North Side.
She created a safe place, and Philadelphia is, Philadelphia can be rough. Where her school was at, it's one of the rougher neighborhoods in Philadelphia. And those kids just need a little extra love, and she just poured into them.
Rachel said she loved her students as her own children.
She's a teacher, but she was like that teacher mom. She taught for 10 years, and there were kids who came back from year 1 and year 10. Like, that's the impact. I remember asking her if she was going to have another kid. She thought, you're having another kid. What are you thinking about that? And she said, I don't know. I have Jalen and I have, a few hundred other kids that I love. And she meant that. She really she gave a lot. Like, she was a giver. She just poured in the people and the kids and even her coworkers. She just, and it's crazy because it's not the fact that she was my sister is why I'm saying that. She just was good. Like, it's not, she's my sister, so she's good. No, she just was good. And from a teaching perspective, she loved it. Like, she knew her stuff. She loved it.
Moving forward, Alan has a strong stance on how his sister's case will be handled.
And I called my mother and my father yesterday, and I said, I need you to listen to me very clearly. If the DA asks to take the death penalty off the table, the answer is no. Hard no. There is no soft approach. There is no, let's not go to trial. No, let's go to trial. Because if you want me to pay all the tax dollars that I pay to keep these two people alive, that's what you're asking me to do. You're asking me to pay to keep my sister's killers alive with healthcare, with better healthcare than some people in the city of Philadelphia streets have.
While the death penalty is still legal in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, no executions have been carried out since 1999. Just this year, Democratic lawmakers proposed abolishing the death penalty. This as Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro announced he was continuing a moratorium on executions.
We have a governor who, in this past February, said that he didn't want to sign any execution warrants, and maybe I'm biased, but I don't think so. This is what the death penalty is made for. Like, this wasn't, you got passionate, something went wrong. This was premeditated. This was funds exchange. This was 2 months of planning, stalking, waiting for the right moment. This is what death penalty is made for.
As conversations become dark, Alan says it's his family's faith that provides a guiding light.
People say, are you angry? Are you mad? Are you this? Are you that? And I'm not. I didn't think. I have Jalen, and that's really important. And I think, I don't believe there's a world where something this bad can happen and there's not something great on the other side of it. I can't live in a world where that's the case. So maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm not, but that's what I'm choosing to believe right now.
He says the strong family bond that was always there will prevail.
My last text to my sister and I was texting her to see if I could take Jalen to the Phillies home opener the Thursday before she died. Like, that was normal. Like, that's not new. It's not, mommy died, now Uncle Hal's. Nope. Never not been there. Never won't ever not be there.
Rachel King's funeral was held on Saturday. Her brother created a GoFundMe page that has already raised more than $100,000. The information for that memorial link can be found in the description of this video. Reporting for Law&Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.